Contractor. Stole my $20,000 deposit and left my house a mess, so I audited his entire business into bankruptcy. I handed him $20,000. He promised me a dream renovation. 2 weeks later, my house was torn apart. My calls were ignored, and he was gone. No workers, no materials, no refund. He thought I was just another client he could scam. He had no idea I knew how to read financial records better than he knew how to swing a hammer. Welcome back to the channel. This one is about betrayal, patience, and the kind of revenge that doesn't shout, it calculates. But before we get into it, where are you watching from? Drop your country and city in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories travel around the world. And if you enjoy real-life drama, satisfying karma, and stories where scammers finally meet the wrong person, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Trust me, this contractor picked the wrong house. There is a special brand of cowardice reserved for contractors who prey on people they think are clueless. I hired Mike the builder to renovate my kitchen. He had a flashy truck, a 5-star rating, which I later found out were all his cousins, and a smile that screamed, trustworthy. I gave him a $20,000 deposit for materials. For 2 weeks, he tore my house apart. Then, the emergencies started. His truck broke down. His kid got sick. His phone stopped working. When I finally came home to find my load-bearing wall replaced with cheap 2x4s and duct tape, I didn't cry. I didn't even call him back. Mike thought I was just a stressed-out homeowner. He didn't realize my day job as being the chief structural inspector for the entire county. Mike didn't just steal my money, he invited the government into his bank account. Mike had left my kitchen looking like a disaster zone, exposed wiring, unvented gas lines, and 0 permits on file. He figured I'd just settle for a partial refund. I finally reached him from a different number. "Look, lady," Mike scoffed over the phone, "construction is messy. If you want it done right, you need to stop nagging and send another $5,000 for permitting fees. Otherwise, enjoy your open concept rubble." I didn't send the $5,000. Instead, I went to the office and pulled Mike's license. It was expired. I pulled his insurance. It was a forged PDF. Then, I pulled his active job sites across the city. He had 7 other projects going on, all under different dummy company names. As chief inspector, I didn't need a favor. I just needed to do my job. I organized a multi-agency task force, building, electrical, plumbing, and the Department of Labor. "Hey, Mike," I texted him, "I'm at the job site on 5th Street, the one where you're currently pouring a foundation without a rebar inspection. You might want to get here. You have company." When I arrived at his biggest project, a $1 million custom build, Mike was there, pale as a sheet. Every single one of my inspectors was slapping bright red "Stop Work Order" stickers on his windows. "You can't do this," Mike yelled, waving his arms. "This is harassment. I'll sue the city." "Actually, Mike," I said, pulling up my official badge and the 50-page violation report, "we're doing this because you're a public safety hazard. You've been using unlicensed labor, skipping inspections, and, my personal favorite, stealing deposits to fund other illegal builds. This isn't a nagging homeowner. This is the county." The homeowner of the $1 million house walked out, saw the red tags, and heard the word fraud. He looked at Mike and said, "My lawyer will be in touch by the time you leave the driveway." Mike didn't just lose my $20,000. He lost his truck, his license, and his business. Between the city fines and the lawsuits from the other homeowners I alerted, he ended up owing over $400,000. He tried to cut corners on my kitchen, and now he's restricted to renovating a prison cell for tax evasion. He was right about one thing: construction is messy, especially when you're building a life on a foundation of lies. I sat in my home office, the only room in my house that didn't have a hole in the ceiling, and opened the county's master permit portal. Mike thought he was being clever by using a business name that didn't match his truck. He didn't realize that in my database, everything is linked by a phone number and a social security digit. I pulled his file. Mike wasn't just a bad contractor, he was a serial ghost. He had 8 active renovations across the county. Total permits pulled? 0. Total licensed electricians on his payroll? 0. He was running a Ponzi scheme with kitchens, taking deposit A to finish project B while leaving project C in shambles. Then I saw it. His biggest job, a massive $200,000 deck and pool house for a local cardiologist. I checked the site photos uploaded by a neighbor who had complained about noise. Mike had installed the support beams directly into the dirt without concrete footings. It wasn't just shoddy, it was a death trap. I didn't call Mike. I called the heavy hitters. "Hey Jim, this is the chief. I need an electrical lead and a plumbing supervisor at 452 Maple Drive in 20 minutes. We're doing a surprise sweep, and call the Department of Labor. I've got a hunch Mike's crew isn't carrying workers' comp." I drove to his main site. I saw Mike sitting in his flashy truck, eating a steak sub, probably paid for with my $20,000. He saw my car pull up and started to smirk, reaching for his phone to give me another emergency excuse. Then he saw the 3 marked county SUVs pull in behind me. His smirk didn't just fade, it turned into a look of pure, unadulterated terror. He tried to start his engine, but I was already at his window with a clipboard that was about to end his career. "Lunch is over, Mike," I said, tapping the glass with my badge. Let's talk about that load-bearing duct tape. The scene at the cardiologist's mansion was a bloodbath of red tape. My inspectors were crawling over the property like ants. Every time they touched something, a new violation was found. Unshielded high-voltage wires, red tag, no structural anchors, red tag. Mike stepped out of his truck, his stake sub forgotten on the dashboard. "You can't do this! You're overstepping! This is a private contract!" "It was a private contract until you created a public safety hazard, Mike," I said, my voice as cold as the marble he never installed in my kitchen. "As of 10 minutes ago, every single one of your active job sites in this county has been shuttered. Your crew, who, by the way, have no workers' comp, are currently being interviewed by the Department of Labor." The cardiologist walked out of his front door, his face turning purple as he saw the unsafe to occupy sign being slapped onto his new pool house. "What's going on?" the doctor roared. "Mike, you told me the inspections were passed last week." "He lied to you, doctor," I intervened, handing the man my business card. "He never even pulled the permits. He took your money and used it to buy that truck, and I suspect my missing $20,000. He's been running a pyramid scheme with your homes." Mike looked at the doctor, then at me, then at the 3 county SUVs blocking his exit. He knew the math. The fines for working without permits, the labor violations, and the impending lawsuits from every homeowner he'd ghosted added up to a number he couldn't even spell. "I'll give you the money back," Mike pleaded, his voice cracking. "Just lift the tags. I'll fix your kitchen for free." "With what license, Mike?" I asked. "The state board just received my formal recommendation for your permanent revocation. You aren't fixing a birdhouse in this state ever again." Mike's flashy truck was repossessed 3 weeks later to help cover the back taxes he owed. Because he'd committed theft by deception on a government official, the DA didn't just go for fines, they went for jail time. My kitchen is finally finished now, done by a real professional who follows the law. Every time I look at my perfectly installed load-bearing wall, I think of Mike. He thought I was an easy target because I was a woman alone in a messy house. He forgot that the person who knows how a house is built is the only one who knows exactly how to tear it down. His foundation was built on lies, and I was the earthquake.